Hello everyone and welcome back to Carvenus 14. Now today we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite cryo character, Shenhe. Now Shenhe is on the current banner alongside Zhao, so if you guys want her, go for her. But before you do, I suggest watching some guides out there, because right now there's a lot of mixed opinions in the community about how good Shenhe is and, you know, if she's worth it or not. And some people, you know, it's a little bit mixed opinions out there. Now, as for what this build is, my personal build is actually a little bit different to what everyone else is doing. So, if you guys are here just for some non-meta, like, you know, waifu over meta content, then welcome. If not, then this is not the real guide for you to actually know about, you know, how good Shenhe is in her supporting role. So, yeah. Anyway, guys, if you're still here, the build I have on Shenhe is, like I said, different from everyone else. Now, I'm not building Shenhe as a support, and I'm not building her as a cryo DPS. I'm building her as a DPS character, except she's not going to be doing her damage in cryo. She's going to be doing her damage through her physical attacks. Yep, she's going to be doing her damage through her physical attack. That's right, I built Shenhe as a physical unit. Now, this build is... I'm not sure if I would recommend it yet. It definitely needs a little bit more testing, and it's not at its maximum potential yet, as you'll be able to see soon. But I believe this build could actually be quite powerful in the right hands, in the right teams. So without further ado, we'll get on to her, her actual kit overview. Now, talent number 1, we have her precise comings and goings. This basically makes it so that when you dispatch Shenhe on a Leeway expedition, she will basically bring back more rewards. However, this will only apply on the 20-hour expedition. So if you send it for, I believe, 16 hours or less, it won't actually activate her passive. So yeah, if you want to get the maximum benefit out of this, you need to do the 20-hour one, which, to be fair, for most people is actually okay anyway. So yeah. However, the 25% increased rewards, from what I have seen, isn't really game-breaking. It's just, you know, it's a nice amount, basically. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to our next passive, Defic Embrace. An active character within the field created by Divine Maiden's Deliverance gains 15% cryo damage bonus. Now, I believe this also occurs to Shenhe as well, so she can buff her own elemental skill after you use her elemental burst. So yeah, that's a nice damage bonus. As for her next passive, and for any other cryo DPS really, so if you're using Ganyu, Ayaka, Kaya, Cryo Kaching, if people still play that, Rosaria as well. So yeah, anyone that really does cryo, like, you know, that uses a lot of cryo attacks, this will be really good. And Divine Maiden's Deliverance, by the way, is her ultimate. So yeah, it's the huge AoE thing that, you know, does the Kazuha swirls a little, you know, that thing. So yeah, that's her ultimate, basically. Now, moving on to her next passive, which is what makes her, you know, her DPS actually quite strong. Now, after Shenhe uses Spring Spirit Summoning, she'll grant all nearby party members the following effects. If you tap the elemental skill, everyone's elemental skill and elemental burst damage is increased by 15% for 10 seconds, right? And if you do the hold variation of the skill, normal charge and plunging attacks deal increase 15% extra damage for 15 seconds. So basically, if you want your elemental skills and bursts to hit harder, then do the tap variation. If you want your, you know, normal charge or plunging attacks to hit harder, do the hold variation. Now, obviously, with a DPS build, you're going to be doing the hold variation of the elemental skill as much as possible. So, yeah. That's why this skill is really strong. Just to let you know, Shenhe can also activate this passive by herself on herself as well. So everyone, including Shenhe herself, can actually use this passive, which is why it's really, really strong on DPS Shenhe especially. Now, as for her normal attacks, she performs up to 5 consecutive spear strikes. So obviously the normal for most spear or polearm characters, I should say. As for her scaling at talent level 8, as you can see, it's not amazing. I mean, at the end of the day, Shenhe is a buffing unit, so she's not really meant to do the most amount of damage. So yeah, that's why her, you know, normal attack talents aren't as high or as ridiculously broken as most of the other you know, polearm units. Now, as for her elemental skill, basically what her elemental skill does is there's two variations of it. So the tap variation, basically Shenhe lunges forward basically, or dashes forward and deals cryo damage in a straight line, and she passes through all units that she actually affects cryo with. So she dashes through any unit in a straight line, and she can go through them while dealing cryo damage. So it's really strong. Basically think of it as like Zhao's elemental skill, where he does the Animo dash through enemies. It's basically like that. Yeah, except Shenhe at Constellation 0 only gets one charge of it. So yeah. As for the hold variation, she basically brings forth the cryo spirit that she holds within her talisman and asks it to do AoE cryo damage. So the hold variation, obviously, number one, will do more damage, and number two, the buff actually lasts longer, the attack damage buff. Now, I mean the Icy Quill buff, which we'll get onto next. So basically, the Icy Quill buff is when normal charged plunging elemental skill and elemental bursts deal cryo damage to opponents, the damage dealt is increased based on Shenhe's current attack. So what that effectively means is when you deal any type of damaging ability, whether that be through your skill, burst, or normal attacks and charging attacks, right, and plunging attacks, you will basically deal extra damage on top of your current cryo damage. Now, this is only going to proc on cryo damage. So if you're doing physical damage, the Icy Quill thing won't actually work, which is one drawback of the physical damage build. If you're with the physical damage build, because you're not doing cryo damage most of the time, you're not really going to be making use of the Icy Quill effects and stuff. So yeah, that's why it's not really, amazing. That's why the Icy Quills don't really, you don't get any boosted damage from Shenhe's Icy Quill stacks. Now, you guys may have noticed that it says current attack. What that effectively means is, unlike Bennett and Kujo Sara, who have an attack buff based on their base attack, which is this white number here, the 876, Shenhe basically it's her current attack. So her current attack includes the white number 876 and the green number plus 1315. So she can give cryo characters a buff of 2191. Right? Well, not exactly. I mean, it's a percentage value of her current attack, but still, because it's based off of her current attack and not her base attack, it means that she can give boosts to cryo DPSs a lot more than Bennett can. Obviously, Bennett is much better. Bennett and Kujo Sara are much better because they're universal characters, whereas Shenhe's just cryo. But if you had if you were building a cryo DPS, then Shenhe is definitely better for damage boosting. So yeah, as for the actual skill attributes, now this skill surprisingly hits really hard, especially if you're building a cryo damage build. If you build cryo damage on Shenhe, then your elemental skill will hit ridiculously hard. I've seen elemental skill hit 30, 35, even 40,000 on some clips. So yeah, it gets very hard. Now, even if you're building her physical damage, this skill does still hit very hard if it crits. So yeah. As you can see, the tap skill 223%, which actually isn't bad, and the hold skill 302% at level 8, right? Which is where a lot of people will probably take her up to if they are going to be, building her as a supporting unit. Now, at 302% is not horrendous. It's actually really good. So yeah, the damage bonus that you get from her attack is 73% of her attack. So if we go back, right, 73% of the her current attack, which is 2191, right? That's going to be around, if my maths is correct, do bear with me, that should be around 1,700, 1,800 extra attack, if I'm correct. It may be less than that, but I'm estimating it to be around that point. So yeah, that's as you can probably tell, that's a really nice bonus attack that you're getting. And when if you decide to crown Shenhe, or you get even more attack off of her, then obviously it's going to be even stronger. So yeah, now as for the tap and hold duration, they both last for 10 to 15 seconds depending on which version you do. As for the number of stacks, that's 5 to 7. So the tap variation, you only get 5 stacks, and the hold variation, you only get 7 stacks. So what this means is, for every normal or charged attack you do, for every hit, let me rephrase that. for every hit that you do on an enemy champion, or an enemy, I should say, you will deplete 1 stack. So let's say you're Ayaka, right? Let's say you do your first 4 hits, right, towards an enemy. You will use up 4 of your 5 or 7 stacks. However, if you were to do 1 initial hit and then do the charged attack, you would instead use up 5, you would instead use up all 4 of them. Well, 4 of the stacks, again, because it's not for how many attacks you do, it's how many times you hit. There is a difference. The number of hits that you do is different to the number of attacks that you do. So the number of attacks are like, you know, the actual, you know, how many attacks you do in your attack combo, right? But the number of hits is how each individual attack, how many times each initial attack actually hits, basically, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's the number of hits that you do. So yeah. Obviously, if you're using Ayaka, you will run through these stacks quite quickly. So yeah, I'm not really sure how Ayaka works with Shenhe because I don't have the facilities to do that because I don't have Ayaka. So yeah, that's basically the elemental skill. So all in all, it's a very, very good skill. It gives you a lot of damage bonus. It is, from what I've seen on YouTube. So yeah, it definitely hits hard initially, and the buff that it gives is also really nice as well. Now, as for the ultimate, basically what the ultimate does is it basically Shenhe basically calls her cryo spirit from her talisman to create an AoE cryo field and basically releases the talisman. So the cryo spirit can basically roam free in the actual AoE field and deal damage over time. Now, it does deal cryo damage over time, but the best part about this skill, in my opinion, is the reduction, or the resistance reduction. So the resistance it reduces both physical and cryo resistance, right? So it basically is really strong for, again, not for cryo DPS and cryo support, but also physical DPS Shenhe. This means that at level 8, her physical and cryo resistance are 13%. Her physical and cryo resistance both scale the same amount. So when it says resistance decrease here, and it says 13%, that means both the cryo and the physical resistance are decreased by 13%. Now, this is actually quite a nice amount. And at level 8, it's 13%. Level 6, it's like 11%, which is still really nice. But at level 10, it will be 15%. So yeah, it's okay. It's an okay decrease, to be fair. It's actually quite nice. So yeah. Now, the skill damage, as you can probably tell, is absolutely horrendous. This skill actually does basically 0 damage if you think about it. I mean, the scaling is not really that good on it, so I wouldn't really build this for damage purposes. The only reason I am building this is because of the resistance reduction. So yeah, the main point of this actual skill isn't to deal damage. Its main point is to basically act as a supporting buffing tool, basically, for your team. That's the main purpose of this ultimate. That's why it doesn't do a load of damage, and it also does damage over time as well, which is quite nice. Now, it lasts for 12 seconds, so basically the perfect amount. Basically the perfect amount for, let's say, Noblesse Oblige. If you wanted to stick a Noblesse Oblige on Shenhe, you can do that, and it will last her entire duration, because Noblesse Oblige lasts for 12 seconds as well. So yeah, the cooldown is 20 seconds, is probably this as you would expect, and the burst cost is 80, so it is quite expensive. It's on the expensive side. So if you do want more energy recharge, if you don't have an energy recharge sands, or you're going full attack percent on the artifact pieces, then going an energy recharge weapon like the Skyward Spine, Engulfing Lightning, or the Favonius Lance, Prototype Star Glitter, stuff like that, basically, will actually be quite nice for her. So yeah. Now, anyway, now that we've talked about her elemental skills and bursts and passives and stuff, we will go towards her constellation. Now, as you can see, I have her C0, but we'll talk about her constellation. So, you don't need constellations. Like I said, you don't need constellations on any character in this game to do well. It just boosts their performance even more. So, yeah, Constellation 1 is called Clarity of Heart. Spring Spirit Summoning can be used one more time. So basically, she gains an extra charge of her elemental skill. So basically, what you can do is, I'm not sure if you can actually stack both of the Icy Quill stacks together. So if you do 2 hold variants, I'm not sure if that gives you 14 stacks. I'm not sure how that works. Because in my mind, I would think that it would, you use up the Icy Quill stacks, right? Let's say you use the 7 up, and then you could immediately use your elemental skill again to gain another 7, right? I'm not sure if it basically resets the number of stacks or if it adds on to it, so I'm not really sure about that. But I'm presuming it does add on to it, because it wouldn't really make sense to get her C1 that just resets her number of stacks. So I think it does add on to it. Now, her C2, Centered Spirit, Divine Maiden's Deliverance lasts for 6 seconds longer, so that's really good. Her ultimate now lasts from 12 seconds to 18 seconds, which is a really nice buff. 6 extra seconds of just on-field cryo damage. And just to let you know, the cryo damage over time applies once every 2 seconds, so that's basically 3 extra instances of cryo damage that will happen. So yeah, it's really, really nice. And then active characters within the skills field deal 15% increased cryo crit damage. So just to let you know, this isn't pure cryo damage, this is cryo crit damage. So basically, when your cryo attacks actually crit, their crit damage is increased by 15%. So yeah, that could be really nice, especially if you have the cryo resonance with a load of crit rate. That could be really, really strong. Her C3 will increase her Spring Spirit Summoning, so her elemental skill, not her elemental burst, her elemental skill, I believe. Yeah, it is her elemental skill. So her C3 will increase her elemental skill level by 3. Her C4 is basically, well, it's quite long. We'll go through it together. So it's called Insight. When a character under the effect of Icy Quill applies Wait. What? Oh, okay, hold on. When characters under the effect of Icy Quill, applied by Shenhe, trigger its damage bonus effects, Shenhe will gain a Sky Frost Mantra stack. So basically, when characters trigger the Icy Quill stack through cryo damage, then Shenhe will basically passively gain Sky Frost or Sky Frost Mantra stacks, right? Now, what these stacks do, when Shenhe uses Spring Spirit Summoning, so her E skill, she will consume all the stacks of Sky Frost Mantra, increasing the damage of that Spring Spirit Summoning by 5% for each stack summoned. Max 50 stacks. Stacks last for 60 seconds. So basically, I think the way the C4 works is you want to try and use your elemental skill on basically all the characters. So any character that can do cryo damage, you want to get all of them to use as many, as many of the stacks up as possible, up to 50. So if you, let's say, do 2 variations of the hold, right? If you apply her C1, let's say it's additive, right? Her C1 is additive. If you do it twice, then one person can get a maximum of 14. So 14 plus 14 again for, let's say, 2 people, that's 28, right? So in order to get the maximum number of stacks, well, the third person will add on another 14, so that'd be 42, right? So yeah, 42 stacks I'm seeing is the maximum number of stacks you can get if you have 3 characters on your team. If you have 4, all characters, like a mono cryo team, then you could probably get the maximum, 50 stacks. But basically, what this means is 50 stacks, so 50 multiplied by 5, that's 250%, right? So basically what will happen is Shenhe's elemental skill, which already does a load of damage, will basically be increased by multiplied by 2.5 basically. Yeah, so you get in layman's terms, elemental skill equals very damaging multiplied by even more damage through mantra stacks equals the reincarnation of the Big Bang, effectively. That's what happens. This skill will do absolutely ridiculous numbers of damage. Her C4 is actually ridiculously powerful. So the way you want to use her C4, I'm presuming, is literally just use your hold skill twice to get the 14 stacks if the stacks are additive. I'm presuming they are, because I doubt you'll be able to get 50 stacks if the C1 isn't additive. So yeah, you want to use your elemental skill, or is it on Shenhe twice in the hold variation to get the maximum number of skills. Then you want to use your stacks, right, on all the applicable characters that have the cryo damage bonus increase. Then you want to swap back to Shenhe and do her elemental skill again, basically, and the cycle continues like that. So it could be really, really, really strong, to be fair. So yeah, that's quite a powerful constellation. Her C5 divine attainment increases the level of divine maiden's deliverance so by 3. So this is a elemental burst. Her ultimate will be increased by 3, and then excuse me. And then her C6, Mystical Abandon. When characters trigger Icy Quill's effects using normal and charge attacks, it does not count towards the trigger quota. Now, this constellation is very strong because you see the trigger quota over here. The trigger quota basically means the number of stacks that everyone on the team will get, 5 or 7. Now, let's say you're using Ayaka, right, and you use your cryo damage. Basically you use your cryo infused attacks. Now normally when you do normal and charge attacks, Ayaka would use those stacks. However, with this passive, Ayaka will not use those stacks up at all, only when she's doing a normal and charge attacks. It doesn't seem to apply on plunging attacks, only normal and charge attacks. So basically, instead of running out of stacks, the stacks will only go away now. Instead of running out of stacks, basically, the stacks will only go away once the time for the stacks ends. So each stack, depending on which version you activated, will last from 10 to 15 seconds. So now you don't need to worry about burning through the stacks. Now you only need to worry about running out of time, basically. So yeah, that's again another really strong stack. But I think the best that's one of a really good constellation, but I think one of her best constellations is probably her C4. So if you want to go for any constellations on her, C4 is really strong. But like I said, you don't need constellations on Shenhe to do well. Now we move on to Shenhe's artifacts. As you can see, I'm running a physical set, 2-piece Bloodstain, 2-piece Pale Flame. Now, if you guys want any other recommendations on like DPS sets for her, 4-piece Blizzard Strayer is really strong if you're going for a Cryo DPS build with like Chongyun as your support to convert your attacks into Cryo. I know a lot of people are doing that. You can also go 4-piece, 4-piece Shimonal's Reminiscence. That will increase your damage even more by like 50% if you use your elemental burst. However, you will lose 15 energy, so you need someone that's really good at you need to have quite a decent amount of energy recharge in order to really use Shimonal's Reminiscence, or you don't. You can, it's up to you how you want to play the game at the end of the day. But personally, I'm running Bloodstained Chivalry and Pale Flame, so we'll go through my artifact pieces. So this is the Bloodstained Chivalry Flower. I got a decent amount of crit damage on it. Unfortunately, it did roll into defense percent like twice, I believe. Yeah, or once. I can't remember. Once, I think. And then crit damage, I believe, was twice as well. Yeah, crit damage was twice. Defense was twice. Yeah, that's basically it. So honestly, I would rather have it more crit damage here, but it's not too bad in all honesty. I mean, I might farm for a better one. This is my feather. Now, it did go into attack percent, which is actually quite nice. Yeah, it went into attack percent once, I believe, and defense once, and then it went again into crit damage twice. So yeah, either went into attack percent twice, or crit damage twice, or once into attack percent and once into defense. I can't quite remember, but the feather's actually not too bad. The feather's actually quite nice. So yeah. Then we get onto the attack percent goblet. Now this attack percent goblet, basically every single thing rolled into crit damage here. I literally got everything rolled into crit damage. That's why this is probably one of the best timepieces I actually have. I'm very proud of this timepiece, not gonna lie. I got very lucky on this. So yeah, why is it unlocked? This is unlocked, okay. So yeah, this is a very, very lovely timepiece I got. The physical damage bonus goblet, this is a horrendous physical damage bonus goblet, but the reason I'm using it is, well, I'll show you why. These are the only 2 physical damage bonus goblets that I have, and as you can see, they're both really, really bad. So yeah, literally, they are the only 2 physical damage bonus goblets I've actually got ever since the beginning of the game, those are the only two I've actually got. So yeah, if I can try and get a better one, I will definitely replace this. So yeah, and as for the helmet, now this is the helmet I'm using. 31%, you know, crit. I'm running a crit rate helmet. Yeah, physical damage bonus goblet, crit rate helmet, attack percent timepiece. The crit damage I rolled on this was 27.2%, so again, a really nice amount. So yeah, the amount of crit damage I have, as you could probably tell, if you haven't noticed already, it does mean I basically have no crit rate with this build. However, I am running a double cryo resonance, so I effectively have around 51% crit rate, which isn't too bad in all honesty. So yeah, as for my crit damage, well, I'll show you the full stats at the end. Well, not at the end, but I'll show you in a few seconds. Now, the weapon I'm using is the Staff of Homer. I actually did get very, very lucky with the weapon banner. So yeah, now Shenhe is, again, a cryo polearm user, which means she can actually make use of the Dragon Spine Spear. As for how useful it is going to be, I have no idea. I might actually make a video on which free-to-play weapon is actually going to be better on physical DPS Shenhe, Dragon Spine Spear or Crescent Pike. So if you guys want to see that video, do leave a like and subscribe, and the video will hopefully come out shortly. Now, like I said, DPS weapons, Staff of Homer, Primordial Jade Wing Spear, even Calamity Queller could be quite good on her, but Calamity Queller is mainly best for her support capabilities. So yeah, but you could definitely make that DPS work. Deathmatch is also a really good 4-star option. I don't have it here, but Deathmatch is also a really good 4-star option. Blackcliff Pole gives you a lot of crit damage as well, so that's also really nice. What else? Yeah, like I said, Dragon Spine Spear and Crescent Pike are really good if you're going for a physical DPS build. So yeah, there's that. Now, as for support weapons, honestly, the Catane Cross Spear could actually be quite strong on her, because the Catane Cross Spear, number one, gives you elemental mastery. So if you're running like a frozen, not frozen, sorry, a melt composition, then melt or reverse melt, then this could give you even more damage on the melt and, you know, reverse melt damage. But best of all, it increases your elemental skill damage, which means you're going to get even more elemental skill damage on top of the ridiculous amount of damage you're already doing with the elemental skill. So this could be really, really strong on Shenhe, the Catane Cross Spear. Favonia's Lance is also another really good support weapon you could go for, because it gives you a nice amount of energy recharge while also having a high amount of base attack, and it provides energy particles as well if you get a critical hit. So you will need to build some crit rate with this build, so yeah, do keep that in mind, but Favonia's Lance could be really strong. Dragon's Bane, again, could be really good if you're going for like a melt build, so yeah, this could be really strong if you're going for a melt or reverse melt. Any other support weapon, basically Skyward Pride is also really good with the energy recharge. Engulfing Lightning could also be really nice with the energy recharge as well. Any other weapons? Prototype Starglitz. A Prototype Starglitz is another craftable weapon that you can get, so it's free-to-play friendly, basically. That increases your elemental, that increases your normal and charge attack damage after you use your elemental skill, so it could be really nice for a little bit of DPS on Shenhe if you plan on using her for just a small amount of attack damage, and yeah, I think that's all the weapons that I have covered, hopefully. If I have missed any, then please do let me know in the comment section below. But yeah, that's the weapon I'm using, the Staff of Homer. Now, as for the attributes, we get onto the attributes, what you guys have probably been waiting for. Now, you guys have probably seen already that I have 36.1% crit rate, which is absolutely abysmal, but like I said, I am running a double cryo comp, and because I can confidently apply cryo quite well. It means that my crit rate is around 51% towards enemies affected by cryo. So yeah, that's actually not too bad. As for the crit damage, 217.2%, which again is actually really, really nice. So I'm actually not too sad about the crit damage number I have here. As for energy recharge, I basically don't have any energy recharge, but I'm using Kaya on my team for the cryo battery, and I'm also got my Zhongli. I also use Zhongli as a battery for my entire team as well, because I equipped the Favonia's Lance on him, which basically grants me white particles. So yeah, that's why I'm able to get my burst up not
amazingly often, but you know, it's there when I need it. So yeah, as for the shield strength, well, I'm running a double geo comp, so yeah, I do plan on making a video as well as for the why I run why I run the current team I have on my Shenhe. If you guys want to see a video on that, then do let me know. So yeah, shield strength 15%, and as for everything else, 0%, including cryo damage bonus. However, physical damage bonus, as you can see, is 108.3%. I have, well, 58.3% from the physical damage bonus goblet, and then from the 2-2 sets, 25 plus 25, 50. So do the math, 108.3% basically. So yeah, a load of crit damage and a load of physical damage. But the best part about Shenhe is her Ascension passive. Now, because Shenhe ascends with attack percent, I believe she is the only 5-star that ascends with attack percent. Do correct me if I'm wrong on that front. But because Shenhe ascends with attack percent, it means that she can actually be used really, really well as a DPS. Because she's, you know, basically just straight up getting attack percent for just leveling up, it basically means you're improving your DPS as you level her up. So she's just going to get even stronger. And attack percent, 90% attack percent at level 90. Or Ascension Phase 6. That's a lot of attack percent. So, yeah, really, really nice. But anyway, guys, I'm going to do a showcase. Now, I'm not going to be using any of the buffs on my team. The only buff I'm actually going to be using is, well, not even a buff. It's just going to be using Kaya's elemental skill for the, you know, the increased crit rate. I hope I haven't dragged this video on for too long because it's already nighttime in Inazuma. Now, where is the guy? Don't tell me I've lost him. Where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Now, we're going to test him out on Masanori, the samurai. Right, Masanori. Yes. We'll have at it. Very good. Let us fight. So, like I said, I'm not going to use any buff. I'm just going to be using Shenhe's normal attack. So as you can see, I'm not hitting for too little.
Transfiguration.
Now, after her elemental skill, we can see what it does. Oh, for God's sake, stop. 9,000 on the last attack, 6,000 there. You can see this build actually already slaps.
You will regret this.
I hope I do make it out alive. Make it out alive. Okay. Wait, I can't leave. Okay. You know what? I haven't trained with this guy in a long, long time, as you can probably tell. But yeah, as you guys can see, without Shenhe's own buffing capability, that was around, you know, basically 5,000 in the mid attacks, and then 8,000 on the final attack. And then when I used Shenhe's buff, when I used her own buff, that was basically 6,000 / 7,000 in the mid attacks, and then 9,000, nearly 10,000 on the final attack. So, as you could probably see, physical DPS Shenhe is quite strong. And just to let you know, this was without Zhongli's shield, so I didn't have the physical resistance shred, and I didn't use Yunjin's ultimate. I only used Kaya's elemental skill to get the cryo resonance passive off for the increased crit rate. That's literally all I did. So yeah, I don't believe the cryo resonance actually increases your damage. It just increases your crit rate. So we can check here anyway. Affected by electro for 40% less, increases crit rate against opponents that are frozen or affected by cryo for 15%. Yeah, so literally no damage buffs or anything, no food either. You could have seen my health bar as well. That was no food, nothing. And she still hit really, really hard. Now, I do want to do a full showcase, and yeah, again, this was at level 80, right? Ascension Phase 5, level 80, level 8 normal attack talent. Once I get Shenhe triple crowned, I do plan on doing a full DPS showcase with all of my characters, right? So if you guys do want to be there to see that, then definitely leave a like and subscribe. And also comment down in the comment section if you guys might try this build, or, you know, if you guys might, you know, try an alternate build. Do let me know. So, yeah, anyway, guys, I have been Carvenus14 and still am. And Shenhe has been Shenhe, and she still is. Honestly, the most beautiful looking character. I mean, who else in the game has eyes like that? Iridescent eyes. That's
crisp, honestly. But anyway, guys, I have been Carvinus14. I will see you all very, very soon. Sorry for dragging the video out again. Goodbye.